Hello everyone, Analizing here. Episode to release today, and after watching it, I have to say it was a bit of a strange experience. Overall, I enjoyed the episode and thought it looked good visually, but there were a few moments that made it feel somewhat unfinished or incomplete. Some scenes felt like they moved very quickly, while others seemed like they could have used a little more development or explanation. That being said, this is still a relatively small fan-made series, and it's important to remember that projects like these are often created by a very limited number of people. Despite some rough edges, the episode still managed to introduce new ideas, continue the story, and give viewers more content to analyze. So today, we're going to take a closer look at what happened in episode 2 and discuss both its strengths and the questions it left behind. As the episode begins, we see the recording start, immediately placing us in the perspective of one of the characters. Not long after, Polly begins discussing the possibility of survivors existing somewhere underground. However, he's also cautious, suggesting that the location could potentially be an Astro trap designed to lure survivors into a dangerous situation, which I had suspicion something like that could happen. This is actually a fairly important moment because it shows that the characters themselves aren't entirely sure what they're walking into. Rather than blindly exploring, they're actively considering the risks involved. Given everything that's happened in the series so far, the concern about an Astro trap is understandable. At the same time, the mention of possible survivors gives the group a reason to continue investigating, setting up the main objective of the episode while adding some tension to the journey ahead. Another detail I noticed was a kit labeled Death, which immediately reminded me of the public leak from the previous video. At the time, I wasn't entirely sure what the word locked was referring to. However, after watching episode 2, it seems much more likely that the system was actually tracking an Astro rather than indicating that something was locked or inaccessible. This changes the meaning of the leak quite a bit. Instead of showing a trapped character or restricted area, the interface appears to have been identifying and following a specific target. That would explain why the display looked more like a tracking system than a normal point of view. Looking back, the leak makes much more sense now that we have additional context from the episode. After this, Polly teleports us to what appears to be a large mountain range. The environment is heavily damaged and looks completely different from the underground areas we had previously seen. Once we arrive, we deploy what appears to be some kind of helmet or targeting device, which immediately starts scanning the area. Not long after, the system locks onto an Astro target. This is where things get particularly interesting. As we begin charging toward the Astro, we get a much better look at our equipment and learn that we're equipped with an Astro detainer. What's even more surprising is that a sword suddenly unfolds from the device, revealing that it isn't just a tool for detaining targets, but also a close-range weapon. This confirms one of the theories from the leaks. The orange arm and unusual equipment we saw earlier weren't random details. The character we're following is using advanced Astro-based technology, making them very different from a standard cameraman. The combination of the Astro detainer, targeting system, and hidden sword suggests that this character was specifically designed to hunt or engage Astro units, which could make them one of the most important characters introduced so far. Just as we're preparing to engage the Astro ourselves, a laser suddenly appears from the right side. Moments later, a V-tool equipped with what appears to be 3 Astro detainers enters the scene and immediately takes control of the situation. Instead of watching a long battle unfold, we see this aircraft aggressively move toward the Astro and grab it before it has much of a chance to react. What happens next is surprisingly brutal. The V-pole uses its detainers to restrain the Astro and then proceeds to crush its face, killing it almost instantly. The scene doesn't last very long, but it tells us a lot about the capabilities of this aircraft. Whatever faction controls it clearly possesses advanced technology and enough firepower to eliminate Astro units with relative ease. This moment also raises several new questions. Who exactly operates this V-tool? And if they have enough strength to take down an Astro this quickly, how many more of these vehicles exist? While the scene answers some questions about the technology in the series, it creates just as many mysteries moving forward. However, the situation changes almost immediately. The camera suddenly turns around, revealing what appears to be a massive Astro obliterator. The moment it arrives, the VTOL that had just effortlessly eliminated the previous Astro immediately retreats. That alone tells us how dangerous this new threat is. A vehicle powerful enough to crush an Astro without difficulty clearly doesn't want to fight whatever just appeared. The obliterator then fires directly into the ground, causing a massive collapse and creating the enormous crater seen in leak number 1. This finally explains one of the biggest mysteries from the teasers. What many viewers believed was a natural cave or underground location was actually formed by the destructive power of the Obliterator's attack. Looking back, the creator cleverly hid the cause of the crater while still showing the aftermath in the leak. This is where the episode starts to feel a little unfinished to me. Right after the Obliterator creates the crater, the scene suddenly cuts to us wiping our visor without much explanation. While it's possible that the creator intended this as a way of showing the aftermath of the attack or the character recovering from the blast, the transition feels abrupt and somewhat confusing. It isn't a major issue, but it does make the sequence feel like it may have been rushed or missing a small connecting scene that would have helped the flow of the episode feel more natural. Then we see a laser coming from the left. We grab the laser and look at the character using it, and that's when I noticed he now had arms and legs. After that, we pull on the laser and somehow push force back through it, causing the laser blaster to explode and almost knock him down. We then use the Astro detainer to shoot the Astro back with the collected laser, disabling his lower half. Once he's unable to move, we walk up to him and cut his head off. After that, we notice that our right Astro detainer has been damaged during the fight. Rather than ignoring it, we stop to inspect the damage and repair it before continuing. It's a fairly small moment, but it helps show that our equipment isn't indestructible and can be damaged during combat. It also gives us a better look at the Astro detainer itself and confirms that our character relies heavily on this technology throughout the episode. Once the repairs are finished, we take a moment to look around and finally get a sense of just how massive the crater really is. From the leaks, it already looked large, but seeing it in the episode makes its scale much more apparent. The hole stretches far beyond what we can immediately see, making the Obliterator's attack feel even more destructive. This scene also helps connect the episode back to leak number 1, confirming that the mysterious underground area wasn't a natural cave at all, but rather the aftermath of the Obliterator firing directly into the ground. We then fly deeper into the crater, and as we descend, it becomes increasingly difficult to see. Eventually, the darkness becomes so overwhelming that we equip the visor again. It appears to have some form of night vision, allowing us to see our surroundings and continue exploring the massive underground area. As we continue exploring, we eventually come across a large door. At first, it seems like we've reached a dead end, as the door refuses to open. However, instead of giving up, we seemingly activate some kind of strength mode. After doing so, we're able to force the door open without much difficulty and continue deeper into the underground structure. The first thing we find after entering is exactly what Polly was hoping for: survivors. However, they're clearly terrified. As soon as we enter, we attempt to calm down a panicked female survivor. But before we can do much, another survivor suddenly stabs us directly in the face. Surprisingly, the attack has absolutely no effect, and we simply push him away without much effort. After that, we continue trying to reassure the group and tell the girl to calm down, which she eventually does. Once the situation settles, we activate our tracker. Then we notice the injured person. We approach the injured survivor and gently pat him on the head, causing him to wake up. As expected, he almost immediately begins to panic after seeing us. Rather than making any sudden movements, we slowly reach out with our Astro detainer. At first, he seems hesitant and unsure of our intentions, but after a moment, he carefully grabs onto it. We then help him back to his feet, and once he's standing, he leans against a nearby wall to rest. It's a surprisingly calm moment compared to the action earlier in the episode, and shows that our character isn't just focused on fighting, but also on helping survivors. Not long after, Polly teleports into the facility and tells the survivors to follow us, assuring them that we mean no harm. Although they're still understandably nervous, they eventually begin to trust us and start moving toward him. However, the injured survivor we had just helped doesn't have enough strength to walk with the others. Instead of leaving him behind, we pick him up ourselves. With everyone gathered together, Polly teleports the group out of the facility, bringing episode 2 to an end and finally confirming that there are still survivors left in this world. The ending was probably my favorite part of the episode. Instead of focusing entirely on action, it showed our character helping people and safely escorting them out of danger. It was a nice change of pace and gave the episode a more hopeful ending after everything that happened beforehand. I'm definitely interested to see where the story goes next and what role these survivors will play moving forward. And with that, that's going to be the end of today's analysis. If you enjoyed the video, Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more breakdowns of smaller fan-made series in the future. I'd also love to hear your thoughts on episode 2, so feel free to share your opinions and theories in the comments below. As always, thank you all for watching, and a special thanks to the creator for continuing the series. Hopefully episode 3 won't be too far away. Until next time, peace. Overall, I thought episode 2 was a decent continuation of the series. While there were a few moments that felt somewhat unfinished or moved a little too quickly, the episode still managed to answer some of the questions raised by the leaks while introducing new mysteries for the future. We finally learned what created the massive crater, got a better look at our characters' abilities and equipment, and most importantly confirmed that survivors are still alive in this world. As always, thank you all for watching, and a special thanks to the creator for continuing the series. Hopefully episode 3 won't be too far away. Until next time, peace.